Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ron Wallace here with Ballin' Down South Sports Network here with another episode of the interview. I can tell you today we got a double hitter today, but the first up here we got a 1A coach for football, head football coach out of the state of Alabama. He just finished up his first season, and guess what, folks? In his first season, he was able to take his team to the playoffs. Let me introduce you to none other than Travis Lockett, head football coach over there at Linden. How you doing today, Coach?
Doing pretty good. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good, Coach. I know it's about to rain outside out here. We got the storm out there in the Gulf. The pandemic has got the sports world on lockdown. So how's the family?
Family is doing good, man. With all of the stuff that's going on, everybody's safe. You know what I mean? Immediate family, everybody's doing pretty good. Can't complain about that with everything else that's going on.
Well, Coach, before we get into talk about Linden High School football, tell the people a little bit about who you are and how do you got into coaching. You're playing some college ball and stuff of that nature. Just talk to a little bit about that.
Um, Travis Lockett. I'm from Sweetwater, Alabama. Live in Sweetwater. I actually attended Marengo High School. Graduated 2001. Um, I led in all sports that we had at Marengo: football, basketball, ran track. A little while we had track. I had an opportunity to play for the legendary Woodrow Bear Campbell from Marengo High School. He's one of the all-time winningest coaches in the state of Alabama. So I played for him. My brother played for him. My daddy played. So he was a big part of me wanting to be in coaching. Getting into coaching. He was a very good mentor. Kind of like a father figure. And I grew up under Coach Andrew Williams, him also being from Sweetwater. I grew up under him, and I actually looked up to him when I was younger. He was a friend of the family, and he got into coaching, and I kind of wanted to model myself after him as much as possible. So I kind of pursued the profession, kind of modeling after Coach Williams. That was my main influence into getting into coaching. You know.
Well, I can tell you this: being your first season there as head coach at Linden High School, and being able to get your team to the playoffs, that's commendable on you, and that speaks volumes. So this is not actually your first time being a actual coach at Linden. Talk a little bit about what you did before becoming head coach.
Like I say, I was fortunate enough to be hired by Coach Williams while he was in Linden. It was 2016. He brought me in, fresh out of college. Like I say, I thought I knew a lot about football, but being under him, I actually learned very quick that I had a lot to learn. So I was able to learn a lot from him in that first year in 2016. And unfortunately, after that season, he took another job. He moved on from Linden. And another guy, one of my buddies on the staff, he actually ended up getting the head coaching job. And he asked me would I stay and be a coordinator for it. Offense coordinator, never called plays. I had learned a lot of football or whatever, but I took it as an opportunity. I probably was in over my head, but it was an opportunity. I wanted to take it and run with it. I'm always one that's gonna try to attack anything that's in front of me. I'm not gonna let anything pass up. So I took it. I did the best that I could, man. It was a learning experience. It made me learn even more that I had to like sit down and figure this game out, more to be successful or whatever. So it was a great, great deal. We had a decent season. It was decent. I think we went 7-4 that year. We actually upset a rival that people didn't expect us to win the game. We actually won that one. And we ended up in a shootout. We lost first round of playoffs, but we were actually in a shootout versus Maplesville High School, where nobody gave us a chance to win the game or even be close to being in the game. And at one point in the second half, we were up a touchdown or so, and in a shootout, it was like 28-35 or something like that. So, and that kind of propelled us into the 2008 season, my second year as a coordinator. I had a chance to sit down with a lot of college coaches, and I learned the game of football and how to play it at this level and how to simplify everything for kids and make kids comfortable with playing different roles. And I learned how to coach kids individually to get the most out of them. I tell this story, man. In 2018, I had a young kid. Um, I won't call his name, but people from Linden, he'll know him. I mean, they would know him. He was a 5'8", 155, 160-pound defensive lineman when I got him,
Wow.
and I molded him into a quarterback. He had a nice arm, and he started 2017, and he was up and down. He showed spurts that he was going to be a pretty good player. But in 2018, man, this kid he had roughly 4,500 yards of total offense and 50
Wow.
touchdowns in 2018. And everybody know we went 13-1, had an undefeated season, and we lost in the state championship game to Mars Hill. But it was primarily a lot of these highlights. That's him on the highlight right there. That's another kid, but a lot of the stuff we watching, it was him. But we had a great group of kids in Linden that they pretty much took the coaching that you were offering, and they were great kids, and they worked hard, and that's just the type of kid we have in Linden generally. Just great kids that want to be successful. They don't want to be complacent or be second place to anybody. So they gonna work to try to get the work done, man. Kind of got off
Now,
subject then, but I start talking
that's
about these
okay,
kids,
coach.
man, and I ramble. You know what I mean? Because I get excited about these kids that we have in Linden. So I'll veer off the path and do other stuff like that. But that's like I say, that was 2018. We had a very successful year. We averaged a lot of points, a lot of yards, and that ultimately propelled me into the head coaching opportunity after the coach we had, Coach Demetrius Jackson, after he took another job. And like I said, I interviewed the administrators. They had confidence in me, and I took the job. We lost 13 seniors off our state runner-up team. I had a very young team last year, man, a very young team. Um, had one returning offensive lineman on the whole team, not starting. There's one offensive lineman that returned that played the year before. And so we pretty much started four guys up front last year that never played football before, you know. And we
What?
and yeah, it was a trying time, man. But the kids, they just to see them develop and learn as they go, and they got better to the point to where if we would have been more fortunate to play more games in the playoffs, they would have became more of a dominant unit. But the good thing about it, I get all of them back. All of them were underclassmen. I get all of them back this year, and they chomping at the bit for this year, man. I think our offensive line gonna be one of our strongest points of our 2020 team. This year. So here we are, 2020, man, and I'm anxious to get back on the field with these kids. You know.
Have you been able to stay in contact with the kids at all during the pandemic before you guys being able now to come back on the campus here soon?
Yes. I've always been big with keeping communication with the kids even before the pandemic. So we have group messages, group chats, social media groups and stuff. So I check in with all of my kids. I talk to them every day. You know what I mean? Like I keep them up on everything, just words of encouragement, see how they doing, make sure they're staying out of trouble, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, academically or whatever. So I talk to the kids pretty much every day. I'm either reaching
Wow.
out to them or they're reaching out to me. We got a real good relationship, coach player relationship. So I'm in constant contact with all of them. And during the pandemic, man, it was some challenges. There was some challenges in it, but we still made an effort to keep in contact with all our kids as much as possible. We obviously we want to see them, but any way we could, text message, calls, FaceTime, whatever. Zoom. We actually done it all, trying to keep communication good between us and the kids.
Now, Coach, being in the city, Linden is a city school, and how
Yes, indeed.
knowing that Linden always have had a pretty good football team, you coming in as being first year head coach, How did the community accept you as being head coach, getting their team to the playoffs in your first year at the helm?
Well, just like you said, man, Linden, all credit to Coach Williams for building this program to, the standards that they are. And the standards of Linden are very high. And, if you don't live up to the expectations, the fans, I think we got one of the greatest fan bases out. And, they going to pretty much let you know, but they are so supportive. You know what I mean? They're so supportive. A lot of stuff we needed, people, they just reached out, they donated, fundraisers, the town of living, they live Linden, you know, everybody have your back when you are part of the coaching staff or in the Linden community. And I feel like I'm at home in Linden. I feel like Linden is my home. I spend more time in Linden than I do at home. You know what I mean? And all of the parents, they're supportive. Now on Friday night, they're gonna let you know if things are not up to their expectation, and I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I mean? That's I feel they deserve the right to have the team's interest in mind or whatever. But um, as far as being accepted, man, like I say, last year was my fourth year, so they already knew me. All the kids knew me. They either been under me, played for me, graduated, moved on, still played for me. So it wasn't like I moved in to this job from another place. I had already been there 3 years, so I was just a guy, moving up, taking the opportunity, but that's
So now,
pretty much
now
how
to
it is.
talk about the kids. You got Joshua Williams, Tyreek Daniels, Aldrich, Miller, Thurman, Blackman, and so on. Talk a little bit about those guys.
Man, this class right here, man, I like to call this class as like my babies, you know what I mean? Because when I got here, this class, they were the eighth grade, and
Wow.
all of these kids that you just named, they were all on the team my first year there. But like I said, they were the eighth graders. Some of them was small, 5 foot nothing, skinny, but they've been a part of the program even before I got there. And then when I got there, I pretty much took them under my wing, and I've been with them the whole time. But great kids, man, great athletes. Like I say, we have three kids that have Division 1 offers, multiple Division 1 offers right now out of that group, and I think everybody that you named, along with maybe one or two more kids, will probably have an opportunity to play on the next level. It just shows the amount of work that they put in and how competitive they are to be as good as the kids that come before them. And all these kids want to continue to play football on the next level. So,
Right.
the competitive part, that's the easy part. And this is just a great class, man. Like I say, it's a large class. It's probably one of the largest classes to come through Linden. Like we have 21 seniors, and
Wow.
yeah, it's 21 of them, and a lot of them have a lot of experience. Some of them don't have as much experience, but we still have a large senior class, man, and I think it's a special group. I think it's really a special group with a lot of potential.
Now, Coach, how how are you able to get the attention of college coaches? I know it's not a lot of media coverage there in Linden. That's one of the reasons why we brought you guys on to talk about your program. How hard and how
Mhm.
tough is it, getting these kids noticed by college coaches?
At first, it was real tough, man. At first it was real tough. Me personally, I've took it upon myself to go out and get to know coaches, and being able to speak to coaches and talk to them and tell them about kids. But to be honest with you, social media, Twitter, Facebook, it's been a big part of it. But these kids, they sell themselves very well. They make their highlights and they send their highlights out on Twitter, and coaches, they take notice. Coaches contact me, and coaches contact them, and it kind of started like a trickle down effect or whatever. But we started gaining a little traction on the recruiting trail in February. It was February or early March. Um, I think Southern Miss, one of Southern Miss scouts was in Demopolis, Alabama, looking at some kids. They have a kid that's, you know, Tennessee commit. And one of the coaches in Demopolis told him that he should stop by Linden on his way through or whatever. So he stopped by, and just so happened, like I say, Joshua Williams was in the gym, just shooting around or whatever, shirt off, and he looks like a Terrell Owens or something like that, 6'3", 190 pounds, and so he looked at the kid and you could like see the sparkle in his eye. And then I called the other kids in that I felt could play on this level. So he just looked at him, and he was real high on Josh that day. And the very next day, man, he was back. UAB was there. South Alabama and Troy were all in Linden in the gym at one time. They just all showed up, and then it kind of took off from there, man. So we started getting these highlights together, editing them, making them short enough so they won't be too long, and getting them out. And it took off like wildfire, man. Right now, Joshua Williams has 10 offers, 10 Division I offers,
Wow.
and Tim Thurman, he has two, with one being from Army West Point. Joshua also has an offer from Army West Point, and we got UT Chattanooga. Josh, he has pretty much every FCS school in the surrounding area. He got all of those. But Josh also have four Ivy League offers: Dartmouth,
Wow.
Yale, Princeton. Well, three: Yale, Princeton, Dartmouth, and there's a couple more that's been in contact with him. But
Now,
Tim,
coach,
Tim Thurman,
those
yes, sir.
now, coach, those Ivy League schools are hard to come by, and you got to have the academics to go with the
Yeah,
athleticism.
you're right. You're right about that. Like I say, Josh has three solid Ivy League offers from Princeton, Yale, and Dartmouth. Joshua is a lifetime 4.0 GPA student. Um, he's 29 ACT, and I feel he has more left in him. Next time he take it, he's gonna get in the 30 some range or whatever. But that's pretty much what they're looking for. Josh is like he's like a you know like a unicorn, if you would think. Like he has it all. He has the size, the academics, the attitude. He's humble. He has it all. You know what I mean? For him to have the Ivy League offers or whatever like that. But you know, outside of him, Tim Thurman is a great academics child. He's a 21 ACT, 3.2, 3.3 GPA, and he also has an offer from Power Five school, which is Army. You know what I mean? So that's a major deal. And Tyreek Daniels, I feel, is probably one of the most underrated defensive players in the state of Alabama. But he has two Division I offers also from North Alabama and Tennessee Chattanooga. But I think once they see him, because he's a totally different guy now than he were last year. The guy they watching on film now, he's different. He's put on more pounds. He's bigger. He's stronger. You know what I mean? So when they see him next year, I think the offers are gonna start rolling in for him also, man. But outside of
Well, I
that,
can tell
man,
you.
it's
Go ahead.
yeah. Outside of that, I feel we have easily 8, 9 kids that could play some level of college football. You know, a lot of them don't. A lot of people don't know about them as much, and I'm trying not to be biased because they're my kids, but I feel like we have kids that should be able to play on some level. You know, to some kind of extent. You know.
Well, coach, I can tell you, you guys are doing great things up there in Linden. Hopefully, whenever you let them, we can get some of those kids on the network here and interview those kids and talk to them. But man, we definitely thank you for coming on to the network today. And like I said, that speaks volumes. Your first year as head coach, man, and going to the playoffs, that speaks volumes to everyone here in the football round. Anything you would like to say to any of the young kids out there that are training, getting ready to go into their senior year, and got one more year left on their high school career?
Um, it's basically like I tell my kids, man. This is your last opportunity. Like for most kids going into their senior year, this might be your last chance to play football. Period. everybody won't go and play on the next level. Most people won't play on the next level. So you got to approach it just with that mentality. This may be my last opportunity. And I try to tell them, like, football is different from any other sport. You can easily meet up with your friends and get a bat, some gloves, and play baseball, recreational baseball, or they play basketball every day. But this may be the last time you will ever put on a helmet, a pair of shoulder pads, and actually go play organized football. So they got to take that into consideration with their preparation and accountability and all this stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure my kids they get the picture. You know what I mean? And I just hope that any other kids that may listen to this, I hope they take this senior year, their last opportunity to play high school football. Take it serious. Get serious in your academics. You know what I mean? In your class work and life and God. Just your faith and everything. Just be as serious and as humble as possible, because this may be your last opportunity to do something on this scale. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. Linden High School head football coach Travis Lockett. Thanks for coming on today, Coach.
All right. Thank you, man.